Hi folks, and welcome back to the Star Wars Library. Today we are finishing the first story arc of the Young Jedi Knights series. And this book is called Jedi Under Siege by Kevin J. Anderson and Rebecca Moesta, or Mosetta, however you want to say it. Now, I have it collected in the Rise of the Shadow Academy Omnibus, but of course you can get it in that, or I'm sure you can get it in singles. So this book is the final, like I said, it's the final book in the first arc, and it is basically the final battle between Luke's New Jedi Order and the Shadow Academy. Mainly, we just see the perspective from the younger, hence I guess the name of the series, right? The Young Jedi Knights, and then the Shadow Academy. So there's three different basically battles or things that we're looking at here from this book. It's much more action driven than say the original or the first few books. They had moments of action. This one, and this is why this one was always my favorite as a kid. It might still be my favorite too. This one is just nonstop action. It's just consistent action. So like I said, there are three different things. The first is Jason is going off and doing a lot of the space combat and the lightning rod, and is doing all those combats. So he's doing the aerial stuff. Then we see Luke duels or hunts down and duels Brachus, and will take him out. And then Jaina will ultimately face off against Zek. And Jaina and Zek is the final conflict. You kind of see it throughout the book that Jaina really wants to turn Zek back to the light side. And Zek's not truly gone. I mean, let's be real here. He's just not. And so you kind of get that there. So it's kind of cool. The Jason stuff, I mean, it's interesting. They kind of fake you out a couple times. Like, oh, did Jason get hurt? Did he die? Of course he doesn't. But they kind of fake you out a little bit. Kevin J. and Rebecca do. The Luke and Brachus duel I really, really liked when I read this. And you kind of see that Luke is holding back very, very clearly, because he wants to, again, it's Luke Skywalker. He sees the good in everybody. And he always, believes that no one is ever, really fully gone to the dark side, that people can be redeemed. And he wants to. Now, unfortunately, he's unable to do so with Brachus. Brachus will end up dying. I don't want to spoil too much of the duel, so I'd encourage you to do that. But Brachus will die. Luke will not successfully turn Brachus back to the light side. But Luke is able to make peace with that. And then, of course, Jaina and Zek, and it's actually because they're trying to get back to the Praxium at this point. And Zek's, because the Shadow Academy is basically lost, and Zek is blocking the front. He's like all ticked and upset that this was my family. I've kind of like deemed them as my family because I didn't really have a family. And Jaina's like, Jason and I, like the Solos, we were your family, and the Jedi could be your family. And Zek's like, screw you. And so they fight, and Luke's encouraging her because she's like, Uncle Luke, you turned our grandpa back to the light side. And Luke's like, yeah, but it wasn't easy. But with his encouragement, Jaina, kind of pulls a Luke Skywalker. She shuts off her lightsaber, and she's like, I'm not going to fight. And so Zek's about to end up decapitating her or killing her. And there's an explosion. The temple is destroyed, or parts of it is. And there's this debris. It's about to hit Jaina, and Zek gets her out of the way, and he ends up saving her. And so Zek does renounce the dark side, but it does set up the next arc where he's kind of like, and obviously the next arc will go more into it, but in this one, he's kind of like, man, like, do I even want to, pursue the Force? Do I even want to do anything like that? So it's an interesting thing, and like I said, that'll be a main plot point in the next storyline in this series. So overall, like I said, this book is just nonstop action, and so there's very little. There's not a lot of character development in this. There is some, but not as much as the others, just because again, it's a conclusion to the story, and so we're wrapping everything up. We're starting to do that. And then, of course, we're going to have this epic conclusion of this nonstop lightsaber Jedi versus Dark Jedi kind of thing. And so as a kid, I loved it. Now I really do too. It was such a great read, and even rereading it as an adult, it was like, man, I didn't want to put it down. I flew through that sucker because the action, again, similar to other young adult books like Jedi Apprentice, Kevin J and Rebecca Moesta just do a great job pulling you in, and do such a great job of keeping you engaged with the action. It isn't just explosions or anything like that. Like, you actually you care, and you're excited, and you're on the edge of your seat. It's a really cool experience. Now the cover, which is the thumbnail of this video, it always stood out to me. And I remember in school, 3rd grade in particular, when we started getting into the EU and doing the Young Jedi Knights series, we analyzed the crap out of this cover. I mean, it has like the outline of the fake Emperor in the back, and then Jaina and Zek dueling R2 and Luke, and then Jason. And I remember my friend Josh, like, he specifically would talk about this cover, and he swore that Jason was holding Luke's lightsaber. And I'm like, no, he wouldn't do that. He doesn't use it in the book, but he's like, oh, he is in the cover, and it does kind of look like he's holding Luke's lightsaber, but I'll let y'all be the judge of that. He never touches it in the book. Luke keeps his lightsaber the whole time. But that's just the memory I have, is my friends Josh and Lane and I just like looking at this cover and analyzing it. And I remember too, I think this is one of the few books there was a waiting list for in our school library, if I'm not mistaken. I remember the 3 of us were on the waiting list. I think I was number 2 on it. But yeah, 3rd grade. I don't. Maybe there was other times when there was a waiting list, but I never had to get on a waiting list. Well, no, I take that back. I had to get on the waiting list one other time in my school career for a book, and it was Shatterpoint, actually, by Matthew Stover. That was the one other time I had to get on the waiting list. Ironically, I think I was number 2 on that as well. But yeah, my friend Josh got it first, read it, then I did, and then our friend Landon did. And then we would repeat check it out because it was just such an action-packed, exciting novel. And I'm going to sound like Dave Filoni, but we really liked that cover. But the story was great too. So, Jedi Under Siege, is it an essential read for you? Again, yes, obviously, if you're reading the Young Jedi Knight series, especially if you're reading this first arc of the Young Jedi Knight series, the Shadow Academy arc, it obviously is essential because it wraps up this whole storyline, and then you're able to move on to the next one, which was the Diversity Alliance storyline. This ends the Shadow Academy's tenure in the Star Wars EU, chronologically speaking. They're done, and so but it's good. Obviously, I'll do my own opinion of the 3 Young Jedi Knights storylines of the series. Which one do I like better? But I can safely say that the Shadow Academy arc is excellent. It's a great start to the series. I did enjoy it. And yeah, totally an essential read if you're gonna read the first arc or Young Jedi Knights as a whole. I think obviously it is for the whole series, but especially if you're reading that first arc. So, anyways, folks, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time with another episode of the Star Wars Library. Till then, take care.